There is a woman in Kyoto who wakes before sunrise and quietly begins her morning before anyone else even stirs. She drinks one glass of warm water slowly, then steps outside for fresh air, even when the soft rain falls. She refuses to touch coffee for almost 2 full hours, no matter how tired her own body feels that morning. She walks gently to a small shrine about 3 blocks away, then walks back home without rushing a single step. For the first 30 minutes, her phone stays exactly where she left it, face down, silent, completely untouched, and forgotten. She is 61 years old, yet her waist has not changed in more than a full decade of living. She has never followed a diet, never counted a calorie, and she does not even own a single dumbbell anywhere. Across the world, another person wakes, skips their breakfast, laces tight running shoes, and pushes through a punishing morning workout. This person eats clean, tracks every single calorie carefully, and follows every rule the fitness industry has ever loudly promised. Yet, that stubborn weight around their middle simply refuses to move, no matter how hard or how long they try. What if the real difference between these two people has almost nothing to do with food or hard daily exercise? What if it comes down to one single hormone that quietly rises inside you within 30 minutes of waking up? It rises whether you notice it or not, slowly shaping your body in ways no calorie counter could ever measure. By the end of this, you will understand exactly what that hormone is and why it works quietly against you. You will also learn 5 small, free, almost invisible shifts that people in Japan have used for many quiet generations. These shifts can begin reversing the whole problem as early as tomorrow morning without any gym, pill, or expensive plan. But first, we must take apart an old equation that almost everyone believes without ever stopping to truly question it. The equation says belly fat is simply basic math, so eat less, move more, and the fat will surely disappear. It is the very foundation of nearly every diet plan, fitness app, and gym membership sales pitch on this planet. And for a huge number of honest, hardworking people, that simple equation quietly and painfully does not hold up well. Not because they're lazy or weak, but because that equation simply leaves out one powerful, hidden variable almost entirely. That one missing variable is a hormone called cortisol, and understanding it changes everything you thought you knew about fat. Cortisol is not the simple villain it is so often made out to be in headlines, articles, and quick posts. It is the hormone that pulls you out of bed, gives you alertness, and helps you meet each new day. Scientists even gave its natural morning surge a name, calling it the cortisol awakening response, a normal human daily rhythm. Within about 30 minutes of waking, your cortisol can naturally rise by roughly 50 full%, and that is healthy. The spike itself is not the problem at all, so please do not start fearing your own natural human biology. The real problem appears when that spike is pushed too high, too fast, or stays elevated for far too long. A body that feels constant heavy stress quietly shifts into what researchers describe as a stubborn, protective fat storing state. And here is the cruel twist, because that body does not store the extra fat evenly across your whole frame. Multiple studies, including research published in the journal Obesity, link high morning cortisol directly to increased belly fat, very specifically. Not the thighs and not the arms, but the abdomen, wrapped tightly around your organs like a thick biological insulation. This is exactly why so many people can do everything right and still carry stubborn weight around their tired waistline. They cut sugar, train hard, eat on schedule, yet they keep fighting a hormonal pattern with completely wrong, useless tools. So the real question becomes simple and urgent. What actually touches cortisol and gently calms it down each single morning? Japan holds one of the very lowest rates of abdominal obesity among all modern industrialized nations on the entire planet. Researchers who study this closely keep arriving at the same surprising answer again and again across many different careful investigations. It is not a special diet, not a secret supplement, and not some rare ingredient hidden inside their daily food. It is what happens, or does not happen, within the first 30 to 90 minutes after they finally wake up. 5 small adjustments, and the order they happen in matters just as much as the individual habits themselves truly do. So let us walk through all 5 slowly, because once you see the pattern, you cannot unsee its quiet power. The first habit is the simplest one, yet it is also the one most people get completely backwards every morning. After 7 or 8 hours of sleep with zero fluid, your body wakes inside a quiet state of mild dehydration. Your cells are running on reserves, literally thirsty, even though your sleepy mind has not yet noticed the quiet shortage. And what do most of us do in that exact fragile moment? We reach straight for a hot, strong coffee. Stanford neuroscientist Andrew Huberman has spoken about this point repeatedly, warning that hydration must come before stimulation every single morning. Hitting a dehydrated, cortisol-rising body with caffeine is, in his words, like pouring fuel onto an already burning fire. The Japanese alternative is almost embarrassingly simple. Just 1 glass of warm water, never icy cold, sipped calmly and slowly. Sometimes they add a tiny pinch of sea salt and a gentle squeeze of fresh lemon into that warm glass. The warmth softly signals your digestive system to wake and slowly come back online without any shock or sudden stress. The salt helps replace minerals like sodium and magnesium that your body quietly burned through during the long sleeping night. Magnesium specifically plays an important role in helping your body regulate cortisol and keep that sharp morning spike under control. The lemon adds vitamin C, and research from the University of Alabama suggests it can meaningfully blunt sudden cortisol spikes. 2 quiet minutes, 1 simple glass, and before doing anything else, you send your nervous system a very specific message. That message says clearly, we are safe right now, and we do not need to brace for any danger yet. That single message matters enormously because it is about to be tested directly by the very powerful second morning habit. The second habit sounds almost too simple to matter, yet the science behind it is among the most consistent anywhere. Within the first 30 to 60 minutes of waking, you really need to get outside into real, natural, open daylight. Actual outside, not through a closed window, not through a phone screen, just 5 to 10 minutes of true light. Why does this matter so deeply? Because morning light hitting your eyes is the main signal that sets your clock. It sets your circadian rhythm, the internal 24-hour clock that quietly governs nearly every system inside your body. When that clock drifts out of sync, everything downstream drifts with it, slowly and silently, and very often invisibly too. Your sleep quality drifts, your hunger hormones drift, your metabolism drifts, and yes, your cortisol regulation quietly drifts along too. Dr. Sachin Panda at the Salk Institute has spent decades carefully researching exactly how this delicate timing quietly shapes us. His work consistently links disrupted circadian rhythms with both elevated cortisol and increased visceral fat deep inside the human abdomen. Here's the beautiful chain reaction, because morning light triggers healthy serotonin production all throughout your bright and active day. That serotonin later becomes the raw material your body uses to build melatonin once the evening darkness finally arrives outside. Melatonin gives you deeper, richer sleep, and deeper sleep gives you a calmer, gentler cortisol curve the very next morning. So one small action this morning is quietly setting up your hormones for tomorrow, and not only for today alone. In Japan, this is built into something that does not even look like a habit, a short walk called sampo. Often it is just a stroll to a station, a shrine, or the corner store, simply for the morning light. Not for fitness, not for burning calories, just gentle movement under the open sky to wake the body up naturally. But the sunlight is only half of the story, because how you move through that light matters just as much. Before you walk anywhere, though, there is one more habit, and most people get it wrong without ever realizing it. This third habit might feel uncomfortable at first, so stay with me, because the mechanism behind it is truly fascinating. Do not drink coffee for the first 90 minutes after waking, and here's the real reason why that helps. The moment you wake, your brain is still saturated with a chemical called adenosine, the molecule behind that groggy feeling. Normally, your body clears that adenosine naturally on its own within roughly 90 minutes of you first opening your eyes. Coffee works by blocking the very receptors that adenosine quietly binds to, masking your tiredness instead of truly removing it. But here's the catch, because if you drink coffee early, you block receptors that are still completely full inside. The adenosine does not disappear at all. It simply waits patiently in the background for its delayed and unavoidable moment. When the caffeine finally wears off, often around 2 or 3 in the afternoon, all that backlog hits you together. Your body reads that sudden heavy crash as a real stress event, so cortisol rises sharply once again inside you. Then cravings follow, especially for sugar, and the very cycle that started this morning quietly repeats itself again by afternoon. The Japanese concept of the deliberate pause, the intentional gap, applies here in a remarkably simple yet powerful way. It means giving your body those 90 quiet minutes to wake up on its own terms before any stimulant arrives. Dr. Huberman has been vocal about this exact practice, delaying his own first coffee by 90 or more long minutes. The reward is not only avoiding that brutal afternoon crash that drags so many people down every single working day. The reward is that when you finally drink your coffee, it actually works the way it was always meant to. You get clean, steady energy with no jagged edges, no anxious jitters, and no painful collapse waiting later that afternoon. So far, we have water, then light, then a patient pause before stimulation, 3 quiet shifts working gently together already. But the fourth habit directly contradicts something the entire fitness industry has confidently told you for many, many long years. We've been taught that harder is always better, that an intense morning workout is the fastest way to burn. And for general fitness, intensity absolutely has its rightful place, so please do not throw away hard training completely now. But research increasingly suggests that timing matters just as much as intensity, especially during those fragile, delicate early morning hours. The worst possible time for a brutal, high-intensity workout might be exactly when your cortisol is naturally already peaking. A study in the Journal of Endocrinological Investigation found intense morning exercise can keep cortisol elevated for many hours afterward. You feel amazing in the moment because the endorphins are completely real, but your hormones quietly pay the price later. The Japanese alternative is not to do nothing at all, it's simply sampo again, but now set in motion. 20 to 30 minutes of easy, unhurried walking. Nothing punishing, nothing exhausting, just steady and relaxed movement through the morning. And here is the part that genuinely surprised even the careful researchers studying the quiet effects of this slow walking. A team at Stanford identified something they named optic flow, the visual experience of surroundings sliding gently past you sideways. This specific pattern of visual motion has a real, measurable calming effect on the amygdala, your brain's main threat center. An overactive amygdala is like a smoke alarm that simply refuses to stop ringing loudly inside your stressed nervous system. A constantly ringing alarm keeps cortisol elevated, so walking through a moving world quietly turns that screaming alarm back down. Not a treadmill facing a blank wall, not a stationary bike, but outside where the real world actually moves past. To people who have done this for generations, Sampo was never really exercise, it was something far closer to medicine. The fifth habit, which researchers call maybe the most important of them all, has almost nothing to do with movement. It is entirely about what you do not do, and it is the habit that almost nobody manages to follow. For the first 30 minutes after waking, do not touch your phone. No notifications, no messages, and no morning headlines. Here's the mechanism. Because the instant you check your phone after waking, your fragile brain is suddenly completely flooded. Notifications, messages, headlines, and each one triggers a tiny spike of dopamine paired tightly with a tiny spike of cortisol. In just a few seconds, your nervous system shifts from calm rest mode into a tense, reactive, defensive survival mode. Dr. Anna Lemke, a Stanford psychiatrist and author of Dopamine Nation, has described how this early stimulation raises your baseline. It means you soon need more stimulation and more stress simply to feel normal, chasing a rising line all day. More stimulation means more cortisol, and more cortisol means more stubborn fat quietly stored around your tired and overworked middle. The Japanese idea of seijaku, meaning stillness, silence, and tranquility, simply means protecting that precious first half hour each day. Drink your warm water, step outside, breathe slowly, and walk, letting your nervous system boot up gently instead of violently. Think of your brain like a computer that has only just begun loading its full operating system early this morning. You would never open 50 browser tabs before the system finishes loading, yet that is exactly what checking notifications does. 5 habits, all completely free, all beginning before most people have even finished pouring their very first cup of coffee. So let us bring it all together now, because the order truly matters just as much as the habits themselves. Water first, never coffee, because hydration must always quietly come before stimulation in those delicate opening minutes of your day. Sunlight within the first half hour, because that natural light sets the master clock controlling nearly everything inside your body. A 90-minute pause before caffeine, because that patience lets adenosine clear and protects you from the afternoon energy crash. A gentle walk instead of an intense workout, because calm movement lowers cortisol, while punishing effort can quietly raise it. And 30 untouched, phone-free minutes, because that silence lets your nervous system wake on its own peaceful, unhurried terms. None of this requires a gym membership, a meal plan, a supplement, or even a single dollar spent anywhere today. What it requires is something far smaller and far harder to sell, simply rethinking the order of your first hour. Because that stubborn weight around your middle was never really about willpower at all, it was always about your hormones. And hormones, more than almost anything else inside the human body, respond powerfully and predictably to small, repeated daily habit. So here is exactly what we would gently suggest, and not next week, but starting tomorrow morning when you wake. Tonight, simply leave one glass of water somewhere obvious, somewhere you will clearly see it before you ever reach anything. That single glass is the only preparation you truly need, so do not overthink it or wait for perfect conditions. Tomorrow, when you wake, drink that water first, before the coffee, before the phone, before the rushing thoughts even begin. Then, step outside, even just briefly, and let some real, natural morning light quietly reach your sleepy and waking eyes. Hold off on the coffee for as long as you reasonably can, giving your body that patient gap it deserves. If you have a little time, take a short, easy, unhurried walk somewhere the world gently moves past your sides. And for that first precious half hour, simply do not reach for your phone, no matter how strong the pull. That is genuinely all of it. 5 small shifts in one careful order, repeated quietly and patiently every single morning. The woman in Kyoto has never once described any of this as a routine or a strict discipline she follows. To her, it is simply how a morning begins, as natural and ordinary as the sun rising outside her window. She is not stronger than you and not more disciplined than you. She simply learned the right order long ago. Her calm waist is not a mystery of genetics. It is the quiet result of one gently repeated, peaceful morning. And the same quiet result is available to you, starting tomorrow, without spending a dollar or punishing your tired body. So if this changed the way you think about your own mornings, hold on to it and actually test it yourself. Try it for 1 full week, just one, and watch how differently your body and mind begin to feel afterward. Share it with someone who has been doing everything right, yet still cannot understand why nothing in them ever changes. They may honestly be just one quiet, intentional morning away from finally discovering the real answer they have been missing. Remember, this is not a strict prescription, but a gentle perspective on morning rhythm, hormones, and the power of habit.